The Israeli and Lebanese governments have agreed to renew a ceasefire after weeks of deadly fighting between Israel and the Iranian-backed Hezbollah militant group. The U.S. brokered deal is contingent on Hezbollah cutting off its attacks and evacuating from parts of southern Lebanon. But this morning, Hezbollah's chief has warned northern Israel will not be safe as long as these strikes continue in Lebanese villages. For more on this, we're joined by CBS News foreign correspondent Charlie D'Agata in Tel Aviv. Charlie, we have this commitment from Israel and Lebanon to renew the ceasefire, but will Hezbollah go along with it?
Well, Vlad, Hezbollah was never part of these talks and haven't been part of these talks from the very beginning. But we can't just dismiss it out of hand. So Israel's fight is not against Lebanon. So a ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon might seem irrelevant. But let's take it back a couple of days ago where President Trump was warned by Iran that we are not going to have ceasefire negotiations or peace plan negotiations so long as Israel continues its attacks against Hezbollah. There was that phone call that took place with the Israeli prime minister saying, let's curtail this. So what we have now is Israel and Lebanon kind of coming to an agreement. What the agreement really entails is that there's going to be what's called a pilot program where they're going to try to have a sort of buffer zone, if you will, between where Hezbollah is in southern Lebanon and Israel is also in southern Lebanon, but also in northern Israel, to try to find a way to curtail the violence. So according to President Trump and the Trump administration, through representatives of Hezbollah, they've already kind of called the ceasefire. There has been fighting back and forth. The Israelis and Hezbollah have both said they will continue if attacks continue, but it's not irrelevant. This is just an important step forward, and it's also critical to the talks that are underway between the United States and Iran.
So, you mentioned the agreement kind of sections out where they are. I mean, do you think this is going to pit Hezbollah against the Lebanese forces, maybe even more so than already?
Kelly, potentially. Okay, so we spoke to an analyst who's been studying this region for years, and an Israeli who said, we have to look at where this might put us. So when I posed that question to him, he said, this isn't a question yet of a sort of military intervention, because quite frankly, the Lebanese army, LAF, are not anywhere capable enough to hold off Hezbollah if there is going to be a sort of military intervention. However, there are several steps that we get to before that in trying to get Hezbollah as part of the fold, because Hezbollah doesn't want to continue fighting against Israel. They continue to be, outnumbered, outarmed, and certainly outgunned. Israel is holding that territory, essentially trying to push Hezbollah out of reach of northern Israel, where they have continued. In fact, not only continued, they've advanced some of their fighting against Israeli positions using drones that are targeting Israelis and targeting Israeli military in that region. So the first part of that is the diplomatic process, where the Lebanese government will try to find a way to show Hezbollah this is better for all parties. And again, we have to continue to say that this is part of the U.S.-Iran agreement too, because the U.S. agreement, as we understand it, is just not that the United States will stop fighting Iran, but the United States and all its allies. Kuwait, we've seen what's happened there in the past couple of days. Bahrain, obviously Israel. Also, Iran and its proxies, which includes the most important proxy, Hezbollah. So these are all intertwined. So making a sort of peace and a step forward between Israel and Lebanon and adjacent Hezbollah is all part of the U.S.-Iran peace agreement as well.
All right, Charlie D'Agata, thank you very much. Appreciate it.